The purpose of this recording is to provide exemplification of CEFR, Level C1 performance for writing. We'll show you 6 examples of test taker work and outline the indicators of performance at the bottom, middle, and top of the C1 band. Table 1 shows the alignment of PTE Academic scores to the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, or CEFR. The exemplification materials in this resource have been selected using this alignment. These exemplification materials show responses from test takers who have been classified at each CEFR band based on their PTE Academic writing score. It should be noted that writing scores come from the combination of many test items that measure different aspects of language proficiency. The purpose of these exemplars is to show the range of item responses produced by test takers in different CEFR bands and to provide indicative evidence of the key features of writing performances across and within CEFR language proficiency bands. At low C1 level, test takers can produce well-structured, extended texts about complex subjects, expanding on and supporting their ideas at some length by providing reasons and relevant examples. They have a good command of higher-level vocabulary, though they may struggle to use idiomatic expressions. Occasional errors may appear in their writing, especially with more advanced structures. But these do not obscure the meaning of the points being conveyed. Typical of the C1 level, this test taker demonstrates the ability to produce a clear, well-structured text, expanding and supporting their point of view with subsidiary points, reasons, and relevant examples, before rounding off with an appropriate conclusion. They have a good control over some complex structures, showing the ability to talk hypothetically. For instance, when they write, "If there were no competition, there would be no way to tell that one person is better than another." The essay's level of grammatical accuracy is also generally high. When the test taker starts using the countable competitions in the third paragraph, the essay loses a little coherence, as they still seem to be talking about the concept of competition rather than particular instances or events. However, all the test taker's points can basically be understood. For a higher score, they would need to demonstrate a wider range of vocabulary, such as replacing vague terms like a winning prize with something more precise and appropriate to the context. This test taker's response is characteristic of low C1 level in terms of grammatical range and accuracy, as well as its structural elements. The test taker shows the ability to produce a clear, well-structured exposition of a relatively complex subject, underlining the relevant salient issues. They are able to expand on and support their point of view with subsidiary points and reasons. The test taker's vocabulary range is typical of low C1. The essay features some higher-level vocabulary used appropriately. For example, productivity in all aspects of life would massively drop. Capitalism can only stay alive if competition is there. And competition can be beneficial or harmful depending on how we use it. However, the use of some terms that, while make sense, are unnatural in this context, such as the economic regime. Higher-level C1 test takers would be expected to use a wider range of higher-level vocabulary with fewer inaccuracies. At mid-C1 level, test takers are able to produce detailed, well-structured, extended texts in a range of genres, writing with an assured, personal, natural style appropriate to the context. They can use language with precision to underline particular issues and points, developing ideas effectively with suitable explanations and examples. At this level, test takers have a good command of more advanced structures, though errors in more complex sentences might still occur. This test taker can produce a clear, well-structured essay, expressing themselves with clarity and precision in a way that is characteristic of C1 level. They expand on and support the points that they make, using a broad range of grammatical structures appropriately and flexibly. A smooth flow between sentences is achieved through the use of linking language, such as similarly or in that way. Despite the occasional error, the essay is coherent throughout. The test taker's errors seem to be mostly typos, such as colleagues are aware, to bring more growth, etc. However, in one instance, they misuse the word potential, making it countable and write potentials instead. Such slips, which do not prevent the writer's point from being communicated, are still fairly common at C1, especially with higher-level vocabulary. Typical of mid-C1 level, this test taker is able to produce a well-structured, detailed text, expanding on and supporting their points of view with subsidiary points and reasons. They have a good command of a range of grammatical structures, which they use appropriately and flexibly throughout. As happens with many test takers keen to show off their vocabulary range to its fullest, there are some instances where higher-level vocabulary is misused, leading to issues with coherence, such as in lieu of this. Generally, however, the test taker communicates their ideas with clarity and precision. Their range of vocabulary allows them to express complex ideas about the topic and to underline salient issues, for instance narcissistic, and to take credit for their own gain and discredit the other. It seems clear that the test taker ran out of time, due to the final sentence being incomplete, and some basic errors in the main body of the essay, which could probably have been corrected with better time management, prevent the test taker from achieving a higher score. At the high C1 level, test takers can employ the structure and conventions of a variety of genres, varying the tone, style, and register of their texts according to the needs of the reader, text type, and theme. At this level, writers rarely make noticeable mistakes, showing a high level of lexical variety as well as a command of advanced sentence structures. This test taker demonstrates the ability to produce a well-structured exposition of a complex subject, underlining the relevant salient issues. They express their ideas with clarity and precision, and they build up points with suitable explanations and examples. The test taker can use a broad range of complex grammatical structures appropriately and with flexibility, but there are also some recurring grammatical issues around the use of linking adverbs and coordinators, such as however and while, that prevent a higher score. Their ideas follow smoothly with much of the vocabulary used seeming very natural. A higher score could be achieved if more specialist terms were used to describe the emotional states mentioned. Typical of high C1, this test taker is able to expand on and support their point of view with subsidiary points, reasons, and relevant examples in this clear, well-structured essay. They have a high degree of grammatical accuracy, and they are able to use a broad range of sentence structures appropriately and flexibly. The test taker is able to use higher-level vocabulary with precision such as detrimental to society, exerting effort, and competitive in all our endeavours. They command a wide range of collocations in a way that is characteristic of high C1. For instance, the same principle, true potential, and popular example. In comparison with other high C1 test takers' responses, this essay is somewhat shorter and would probably need to be longer in order to attain a higher score.